Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Life Talk Pod with Bami. Today I have two wonderful guests, as usual, Patrick and Toxie, because it's a very special event today because we want to look at the UK and growing up in the UK, and they're two wonderful people. They're two of my, paddies. So they're here to just share their experiences on how, you know, things have changed or how things were back then. To Um, Patrick, Toxie, how you guys doing now? Are you guys fine?
Yeah, man, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. About yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
Patrick, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing good.
So if you could just introduce yourself from Toxie, your name, what you do, where you're from, then Patrick will take it over from there.
Okay, so yeah, my name's Talks. My job is physics. I don't know if I have to let go of my job online. Even you know what I do.
Yeah.
Patrick, you might know what I do later, but my job is involved in I would say kind of safety, kind of security side kind of things. So I can't let too much go, but it's in line of like with the military anyway. So yeah, that's kind of like the work I do anyways. But yeah, um, as per pretty much life, yeah, that's just what I do. I'm well interested in music, as you can see in the background. This is like kind of like starting my studio right now. I do DJing as my kind of like hobby and stuff. Music is kind of
Yeah.
like my main thing, entertainment. So yeah, so that's just me. Really, without speaking too much. I'm sure we'll get to know much more when we get into the conversation properly.
Thank you. Patrick, what about you?
Um, my name is Patrick. Those who know me, they call me Saint, or they call me Pilavish or Plavish, many nicknames. Um, what I do is I am currently on an entrepreneurial journey. Um, by profession, I'm actually an aircraft engineer. Um, yeah, and that's all I've got to say for now. And as we get progress through the cast, a
Mm,
little more will be said about myself.
yeah, yeah. I think the topic came to me just a while back, just to see how it was, the differences of growing up in the UK. For me that grew up back in Africa, I just wanted to just, you know, see the challenges and the outcomes, how it was it for you guys. So, growing up in the UK isn't just one story, it's many stories, layered into our city. It's a vast, especially London, it's shaped by culture, environment, the pressure, opportunity, resilience. Also, for some people, London represents endless possibilities. For others, it comes with real challenges, identities, belonging, safety, and expectation. So, today just want to have an honest conversation about what it truly means to grow up in the UK, especially in London, the struggles, the face, the lessons, and how those experiences have shaped, who you guys are today. It's not just about glamorizing or criticizing the city, just about understanding the journey and giving space to, real experiences. So I like to do my my podcast in segments after segment, so we know exactly the direction we are going to. So I titled this segment "The Identity, Belonging, and Early Experience." Let me start with talks. You know, you grew up in London, right?
So for me, it was I was born in London. I was born in Hackney actually. I'm more of a E8 kid, so yeah, so close to Main Street, that kind of stuff. But actually went to Nigeria from the age of 3 to leave in Nigeria. So I've done
Mm.
most of my primary school years and my secondary school years in Nigeria. I suppose for that was probably a really good thing for me because I think it brought out my sense of culture, my sense of having direction, my sense of possibly a bit of independence as well. Um, yeah, but there's other things that kind of like I believe that when we talk about maybe later on again in the podcast when we talk about opportunities and stuff, you might just have to remind me and rejoggle my memory about missed opportunities and stuff. So Nigeria's a good thing to grew up with in terms of getting your culture, knowing your, your identity uh, as a Nigerian. Because I think if you, this is just my understanding, if you just grew up here as a British person who was born in Nigeria, or a British Nigerian, who's someone who's born of Nigerian parents in England or in Britain or anywhere, um, I think you might get the chance of like losing that sense of that culture if you haven't really experienced it. So a sense of belonging, yeah, really proud. Like you can see the flags behind me. This is my this is not just a setup for this. This is how 24/7 it's like this. Uh, Even when I do sports that I do, and you know, we carry the flags when we go into the ring and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's always pretty much. I don't think it's
Oh,
made any difference, but it also helps. It helps if you if you can mix that up properly, and growing up in England as well from late teenage years, it just helps you be able to navigate. At least you understand where you understand your identity and where you belong, and with other things, which we'll talk about more later on. We like people who actually believing that you belong here, and some people believing that you don't belong here, and people actually taking the PISS out of you, be it your accent or the fact that you're from Africa or something like that. I'm sure it's something that people have experienced for years. So yeah, that's it.
you know, okay, okay. Thank you so much. You know, for you, you said you went back to Nigeria for your formative years. So, like, was there any moment you felt like you had to change yourself to fit in once you came back to the UK?
To be honest with you, it's not mainly changing yourself. It's I think the main thing is about and you look at it now, it's so, and I've never lost that identity of, or never felt like I wasn't proud of being like from Africa or from the Caribbean or wherever I come from, you know, especially the African part of things. I remember when I first came back in 2001. Yeah, um, it was crazy because a lot of people back then, Afrobeats wasn't even out at the time. Now people associate themselves a lot with Africa because of Afrobeats, Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido. People, everybody wants to be. Even people that used to take the piss out of Africans for like having an accent or whatever, they're trying to actually blend in and trying to be those guys now. And I remember those days in college. There'll be people who were there, you think, everyone used to think because they're from, I always would say Jamo. Some of my friends used to call me Jamo because they didn't understand the difference between being from a different island, island in the Caribbean, and being from Jamaica. You just thought it was all one. Do you know what I mean? So people used to like just take the Mickey, but some will still take the Mickey out of the Nigerian accent and stuff. Because don't forget, I'd been there since the age of 3, and I was coming back at the age of 18, just nearly turning 19, and obviously the accent was well into me. I went to boarding school and all that kind of thing. So yeah, and I was speaking the most fluent Nigerian language Yoruba you could ever listen to on anyone. So yeah, but obviously to speak English because grew up getting taught
Mm.
English. But yeah, so yeah, I'll let Patrick say some things as well, and then when we go into it a bit more, at least you
No,
can
no,
get
don't
some
worry, it's
more out of
fine.
me.
It's cool.
Yeah,
I
no
was gonna,
problems.
don't worry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just like first of all, like get back to you first. So
Mm.
Patrick, where exactly are you from originally?
Okay, so nationality, I'm Nigerian. I was born in Lagos. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm born in Nigeria, and I came here when I was 2 years old. And ever since, I've been living in the United Kingdom, London, all my life.
so where's your dad from?
Nigeria, mum's Nigeria as well.
Like which state exactly?
The Delta State,
Oh, so you're from the south. That's nice.
South, yeah,
Yeah, that's very good. So like, did you ever? So like, you say you came here when you were 2 years old, and ever since you've lived in the UK, right?
yeah.
So like, did you ever feel torn between different identities, culture at home versus culture here, or like, did you ever, play a role in how you felt or fit in yourself here?
I mean, like on it all determined on me as a person, um, and just having that ability to switch. So, what I mean by switch is knowing what is acceptable at home and then what's acceptable outside, and then just being able to just rotate between the zones. So fitting into school wasn't too much of an issue because I would literally do things as an English kid, and then when I got home as well, like there was an expectation that I had to abide by, which wasn't an issue for myself. Um, but yeah, like when you get out into the British culture, you start to notice a major difference between Nigerian culture and the British culture. Um, and then like I'm a very reflective person. With that being said, like I tended to just reflect on why British culture was like this, why Nigerian culture was like that, and then I just yeah, I wouldn't like be respectful or anything. It's just it was just good in my understanding, seeing the pros and cons of the Nigerian culture and the pros and cons of the British culture as well. And I feel like that's the most important as a dual national. Yeah.
Okay. So like you graduate, you went to school, and how did the school system shape your sense of belonging or your confidence? Yeah.
Um. Well, the school system, it's like I feel like in the UK the school system they teach you how to grow as a person and go out and invite and obtain a career. Um, so I'll say that the schooling culture helped me to achieve that. Um, and yeah, that's why I actually went on from primary school, then college. I knew what I wanted to do, studied aircraft college, and then university studied aircraft
Mm,
engineering. Um, School gave me a sense of purpose.
mm.
Yes, I would say.
So like, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced? Growing up here.
Okay, one of the biggest challenges that I faced is that's a good question. I'd say a challenge I faced was while I was still living in London, just trying to be something that I wasn't supposed to be. If you get what I mean, um, because every other child was that way. Uh, so I think the challenge in that was sticking to my own identity, staying true to myself. I say that was the challenge.
Talks. What about you? What were the biggest challenges you faced? You know,
Challenges, man. Challenges is like
when you
Patrick
came.
said.
No,
It's
your
just
own, your own is when you came back.
like Patrick said. Peer
No, like
pressure
no,
is
your
easy,
own is when you came back
but
to
that's the
the
same.
UK.
Same.
It doesn't make any difference. It's all the same.
Oh,
It's
okay.
all peer pressure is always the big one. Trying to trying to just stay on a on the straight and narrow and just being that person that's not always we used to get in trouble in school in Nigeria. We were bad boys and stuff. But the bad boy of that level was, you'd get disciplined by teachers and whatnot in Nigeria. Here you don't get that. So when you come to college as well, you're now mature kind of like young man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
16, 17, 18. You're a mature young man, if you know what I mean. In your late teenage years, to be precise. So um, when your people wanna, it's no problem that you go out and have a social life and whatever it is, but it's when you're seeing some of your boys and the things they're doing, thinking, yeah, it makes them look hard. But do you really want to be doing that as well? Do you want to be involved in that side of things where you're selling things you shouldn't sell? Do you want to be involved in that side of things where you're carrying? And at the time, I'm taking my age. I mean, I don't know about Patrick's age because, like I said, 2021, 2001, that was like, I don't even know if Patrick was born then. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So 2001, it's like, yeah, back then when people carry stuff, yeah, it's flickies, when they talk about flickies, it's like pen knives, Swiss knives, and stuff like that. But now, knife crime is mad and on the rise. People carry like zombie knives and stuff, knives that are probably about that long and butcher's knife and stuff like that. And those times around when you carried them, you you probably didn't even use it. You were more like going to likely use your words and use your fist and call someone something else, like a PO, whatever. You know, all them kind of things. I'm just going back to like my younger ages stuff and just trying to just explain stuff. And Bami's looking at me like this guy's a bad guy. I didn't know he was this bad.
No,
But do you
no.
know what I mean?
Uh,
It's one of those things. It's just but you know, all them kind of things, safety concerns. I've been there, man. You know, I've been there. I don't really talk too much about that young side of life because them times bring back some memories that I'd have no problem processing them. Do you know what I mean? But it could have gone down the wrong line. I had guys that I was growing up with and stuff, cousins that are back here in Hackney and stuff like that. By my age, maybe a year older now, and they're in and out of prison. Do you know what I mean? And because it's the way they know how to do things, you know.
mm,
And these are people that nearly got me in a place where I could have been killed. I wouldn't have been here today. Do you know what I mean? And that's true state. Some people talk and they just talk about these things, but yeah, it's those are things. I wouldn't have been here today
no.
if I followed them paths and stuff. I was in serious trouble, and I've been in places, dark places, blanked out, you know, out on the floor, cold, bleeding, and just all them kind of things. But those pressures can get on you, and you feel like yeah,
So,
yeah.
so,
And
the,
if
so, so, do you feel the pressure then is different from now,
the pressure now is
or is it
the
more?
pressure. I think the pressure then was always the pressure then.
Oh,
um it was always the pressure then, and it's just built up over time now where people don't actually care no more. Back then it was like you I don't think people care now. You'd care about what your mom would say if someone came and said to your mom, if your neighbor came and said to your mom like, oh, this and that. But these days now, I don't know if kids really worry about that, to be honest.
mm,
They just get over it. They get over it so quick. Some kids don't even react to like, there's no kind of like neighborhood watch or anything like that. There's not much of a society or an environment around them anymore in terms of like, like I think we had like when I was in Hackney, to be honest, actually in Stamford, like just a little bit of a part of North London, moving up from like East and stuff. This lady called Mrs. White downstairs, and she was like a kind of like an elderly woman, a grandma, like nearly a grandma to me. I'd go shop, do stuff for her, whatever, this, that, the other. Yeah. There's no way I would have wanted that woman, even though you could be bad boy, bad boy. There's no way I
mm,
would have wanted her to see me doing anything bad, or even my mom see me doing anything bad. Do you know what I mean? And then now these days,
yeah,
or somebody tell her that I'm doing something bad. Whereas these days now, people just like, yeah, they don't really care. And and I don't know if it's a state where something's gone wrong and people's mental health state is just on a different
mm,
level. Do you know what I mean? People don't,
yeah,
there is no like, there's not even like a sense of remorse anymore. Like when something gets done, it gets done. And people don't think through things. Imagine if you're carrying a knife that long and you stab someone with it. There's CCTV everywhere. You're going
yeah,
to get found out. You're going to go to jail for like good 28 years, 22 years, 18 years or something.
mm,
What have you really gained?
yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I want to ask you this last question before I go to Patrick because
No
for you,
problems.
you said you live both in Nigeria and yeah, so you understand. Like, do you think young people in London are under more pressure than in Nigeria or anywhere else in the UK? Like, are they under more pressure because yeah, you see a lot like you said, a lot of knife crimes, a lot of
Mm.
stabbing crimes, and I don't know, is it the pressure? Yeah, much more um, intense than back in Nigeria for adolescents and young people growing up.
I think a lot of people it's external pressure as well. You know what I mean? People let external people put pressure on them. The pressure is not even coming from home. The only pressure that you probably get from home if you're growing up in a nice African home or Caribbean home is that you need to study, you need to do this, you need to make this grade so that you can become a doctor, you can
Yeah, no,
become a lawyer.
because you said something. Sorry,
It's a,
just
it's a, I know,
just
but I'm trying to get to a way.
okay.
Wait, hang on. There's certain things like back then it wasn't you need to be a footballer, you need to do this because my brother played football. That's a different case, but you had to go study because my mom wasn't interested in football, you know. But now we can open that gap for children and go, yeah, you can be a footballer, you can be a sports scientist, you can be this, you can be that. It's more. I know Patrick said something earlier about, the schools here show you the path to grow. I think they do, but they don't. The schools here, I don't think really teach you how to be an adult or to be independent. Do you know what I mean? Like boarding school in Nigeria taught me to be independent from like the age of 10. And that was why it was so easy for me to follow on like a military career. I can do most things by myself these days. Do you know what I mean? It's just, but the peer pressure is there, of course. In secondary school in Nigeria, there was peer pressure. Bad boys, let's do this, let's do that. Let's go and jump fence, let's go to town, let's do that, let's do that. From like an age of like maybe 12, 11. Yeah. You just entered boarding school like 1 year, you're already a bad boy. Everybody knows you, all the housemasters know you. But here, it's also different. The peer pressure is your guys wearing the latest. In my days, it was like, and they wear them now. It's TNs. You know, TNs been around for so long. You would look at me and I think, TN trainers. Listen, somebody took mine from the gym. They literally just took my stuff and ran away with it. I didn't even know it was, I didn't know they were going to do that. I left it in the gym, they took it and went. But TNs, your jeans, Amani, all those things you talk about now, they were there back then. And the pressure of like, oh, look at him, he's wearing Amani jeans, he's wearing TNs. I need to get mine. And if you're coming from a home where, yes, things are right, your parents are working hard to put food on your table, I think £110 trainers is not really your priority. So for you to then, and you can't go and tell your mom that you want to buy, £70, £100, £110 profit trainers. TNs have been expensive for a long time. You can't tell them you want to go buy that. So what are you going to do? You're going to look at the guy that's telling you that you can do a little work for him to try and get a little something. So you're going to start doing that. That's peer pressure. It might be from an older, it might be from a younger person, or it might even be from your peers. So all that happens, and it's not, I'm going to plug something quickly, and I might show you later. We've done a film called Peer Pressure, me and my friends back in 2 years, 3 years ago. But we'll talk about that later. I might plug that to you, and we try to get that in schools and everything. But yeah, it's
Okay.
just crazy. It's just life. How growing up, these are friends that grew up in London as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So for Patrick, you like I think you stayed here since you were 2 years old. So, like were there concerns or social issues that impacted your mindset growing up?
So could you repeat that again?
I said like were there like safety concerns, social issues that impacted your mindset growing up?
Well, yeah. So obviously, uh, there's a genre of rap out there. It's called drill. I'm sure you're both aware of it. Um, Obviously, this glamorizes gang activities. I'm not going to talk too much about gang activities. But
No,
like
you can.
growing.
You can talk if you want to. It's fine by me. It's an
Okay.
education. It's for education purposes. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Okay.
yeah, you can do that.
Okay. So as I was saying, it's like you get into secondary school. I remember first week of secondary school, on the first day was just the year sevens. Then I think the next day the whole school came in. During that first week, I was on the bus. That's the first time I've ever heard a drill song, and like I listened to this song and I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is cool. You get it? Like everyone, you get what I mean? But like reflecting on it when I left school, it was like this song was glamorizing knives and going around and stabbings and proving, yeah, okay, I got him down. I scored a point. Um, I'm the top man. You get what I mean? And yeah, in secondary school, it was like maybe I needed to walk around with just to stay safe. You get what I mean? Because like when you're young, there's gonna be people who are bigger than you, and then eventually you might end up and grow bigger than them. But for the meantime, while you're small, it's just like, oh my day, I can't go up against this guy. It's like almost David and Goliath situation. And then you're thinking, oh, I've got to carry something just in case. I've got to protect myself. Um, yeah, like in school as well. The year 11s, I was in year seven. I remember I got fly kicked by year 11. Um, it was all scary, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how to put this because yeah, at the same time, I didn't feel like I needed to carry anything. I felt like it shaped me as a person essentially. Like if I could hold a fly kick by someone that was 4 years older than me, like what other challenges in life can I face and still be all right with it? You get what I mean? But yeah, like apart from the drill side of things, I'd say there was no much issues about crime.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how far mentally did that really affect you?
Um, I would say I was very introverted, very screw face. Um, I would say I was obviously younger me would have been I would have thought I was normal, because that's how my environment was. But looking back now, it was negative. It was negative, and it wasn't good. It was until when I left school, went to Kingston, and then to university when I really realized, well, like, I've been growing up in a negative environment. Um, and I noticed that I wasn't really, I can't be as social as I should be to certain people because of experience faced in the past. Um, so when people ask me, "Oh, why don't I talk?" I'll be like, "I'm very introvert. I'm extroverted, but like I'm very introverted at the same time." And it's just from uh, situations that I faced in the past. So
Mm.
yeah, I feel like it's affected my social state. Yeah,
You mentioned about environment. I was going to ask, like, how did the neighborhood, the friendships, the schools influence choices later on? Because I'm sure you're good right now, but as you're growing up, as young adults or young kings, you tend to make some kind of unfortunate mistakes that you feel like you can't take back, especially
yeah,
when you have to prove something, or maybe because of peer pressure, like Toxie said. you know so, like, did the environment that you stayed in, like maybe where you lived, where you schooled, did that actually influence your choices and things?
yeah. I would say yeah, it very influenced my choices because at the same time I was growing up. We was also growing up with other uh, yeah, children as well because we are children at that age, and um, some of the older children they weren't making the right choices, but because they were older, you'd look up to them. Um, and then like there's some behavior traits that they were doing which wasn't right at all at the time. It's like you look at it and it's like there's no one to tell them that okay that's wrong. Teachers weren't really telling you that that's wrong. Um, and like you just be influenced to do the wrong things and uh, well yeah, people can argue and say he was a child and such things. But then there's certain organizations that are they're not gonna say, yeah, you're a child. They're gonna look at another statistic and then be like, okay, yeah, oh, they're gonna be getting their money for whatever they do, and then they're gonna throw you down and then just
Mm.
label you when in reality they're not even helping out the situation and what they're doing is essentially yeah like growing up as a child and people just need support essentially.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
bet. Thank you so much. Well, I want to move to the next segment. So I titled this, growth, survival, and self-discovery. So, um, I'm going to start with you now, Patrick. I think I started with Toxie the first. So let me start with you. So was there now a moment where you realized, oh, I have grown, I've changed. I don't have to be defined by my environment anymore. I don't have to be defined by the neighborhood I grew up in, or what I saw growing up, or, like you said, the older kids, what they portrayed, what I saw. Was there a moment where, okay, now I realized that, okay, now I'm a grown adult. I need to change for the better. I need to, take charge of my life and make something, of it.
yeah. Right when I got out, when I started college, um, I started to be around, I'd say a more positive environment. So it's going back to environment, but like environment's very key in who you develop as a person and what you become and what you can learn from it.
Mm.
So yeah, that if that positive environment, it made me start to think for myself. It started to make me question decisions that I was making because people in this positive environment weren't making that decisions, or when I'd say something, they would look at me like, that's not normal. Whereas in another environment, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. You get me? So that I started to have that awareness of right and wrong, and what's good for me, what's best. Then obviously, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. I'm very in depth with faith, which is Christianity. Um, so yeah, like having right and wrong from knowing from my faith and then from the world. Um, it just kind of helped me develop as a person, question my choices, if I'm making the right choices or if
Mm.
I'm saying right, how to adapt myself a bit better. I say like once I left that secondary school, like I just started to see accelerating in growth a bit better. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. Toxie. So, like, who who or what now, like, helps you to keep going, through difficult seasons. There's sometimes that you have to go through some things in your life that you can't explain or you can't, just pardon, but you have to go through it no matter, no matter. So, who or
I
what
think
helped
that
you?
I think I obviously had my family and stuff. They're literally
Mm,
just role models. I had big brother in my family. I've got my dad as well. It's not like, it's not like my dad wasn't around or whatever. My dad was in Nigeria. That's all he was. But yeah, so I had people who I could, people have made good examples as man in my life. But saying that, I'm sure Patrick knows what I'm talking about. There's people who have good examples in their life. They still decide to
mm,
go and have a little touch of that street life. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Because it just looks like, oh, look at this. And it's like, oh, let me. But sometimes it's it's a divine kind of like experience. And I don't just mean in terms of like spiritual or whatever it is, or in terms of religion. I just mean like sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. Yeah. When you learn the hard way, you think like Patrick said earlier, he's best to answer this question, by the way. Like Patrick said earlier, because he's that young generation. Like he said, I know all this music. I know drill music. I even know like drill artists and those are these guys. I know people that have passed away because of drill music. They've been caught, with in the mix and died, people that I know personally, and are younger boys. Yeah, because I've got a cousin who manages like music and stuff, and we've lost artists. But it's one of these things. Like it's for me, it's like you said, Patrick. Sorry, I don't want to divert too much. There are organizations who will not look at you and think, oh, you're a young boy or whatever it is, or a young person, and they benefit from it. Those organizations are like the music industry, people that sign the artists and stuff, because they think, yeah, this is good, right? Yeah, listen to that. Yeah, it's going to make money. Yeah, but they, they don't. I don't know if they don't listen to the lyrics and think this guy's making me money now for a year, but he might be dead within the next two. Because some of these guys don't leave that life behind. They still go for it and still try and chase their ups, as they say. Yeah. And then the prison as well. The prison service is one that really benefits from it because when you turn up there, they're not going to go, oh, you're only 16 and nearly 17. Oh, they've given you 18 years. Okay, you can only do 8 days and be good. No, you're going to do your 18 years and enjoy it because it's what happens, in this kind of situations. So all those things, there's always, when you look at it and you start thinking as a person, like I said at the start, that why would you want to be carrying a knife that big when you know if you use it, you're just going to jail for like 18, 22 years? For what? Once you've, because it's too late then to start thinking. Well, then, like they say, you've got a whole 18 years or 22 years to think
mm,
about it. But that's such a long time. You don't want to be at that stage yet. You want to
mm,
just do the thinking before you get to that point. So, yeah,
mm.
that's it really.
So, did you ever feel underestimated? As a, and how did you
Underestimated by who? Sorry.
like
Um,
like
um,
by people generally, like okay, there's people that they just okay, they just write you off without even knowing your story. Okay, this guy can't amount to anything, or okay, yeah, he's headed for prison, so that's the statistic or something.
you know what? There's people who will always underestimate you. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I don't think people would have looked at me and thought he's headed for prison. Um, because I went to college, I went to uni, I did all the things I needed to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a divine calling sometimes, and it's not in the form. It might not be in the form of like, your typical light shines from heaven and you see an angel coming down or wherever. You might actually see it in your sleep when you're knocked out, or you might see it when you're, you know, in trouble and there's like 15 people chasing you or something like that. You might see it, you just see that. And when you get away from them kind of situations, you know
Mm.
there's a calling for you. You know there's a reason for you to want to leave. There's a reason for you to want to do better and to grow up and be someone that actually, you know, people that you can advise, be it your sons, your nephews, your nieces, your cousins, whatever, your friends, that. So it's them kind of things. It's people will always underestimate you, regardless of what it is. But once you learn to stop listening to people's negativity, because if someone hasn't got anything good to say, there's a saying that says, if you ain't got anything good to say, it's better to say nothing at all. Yeah, if people ain't got anything good to say, it's if you know what I mean. If they ain't got
Okay.
nothing to say, yeah, then it's easy for me not to listen to them. I only take positivities from people. And even when you take positivities as well, some of them might be things that maybe might slightly fall short of things that you need to listen to. You just got to take everything with a pinch of salt, really. So yeah, that's just life, really. Once you stop caring about people, what people say about you, sorry, that's when the real you comes out, really. So
Thank you, Patrick. So I want to go to our last segment. So I know you guys are very busy. I don't want to take much of your time. So as growing up in London shaped who you are today?
Is this a question for myself?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's for you, Patrick.
Um, I see. Growing up in London, uh, how to find a career, to
Mm.
have purpose as a man. Um, it's also taught the wrongs. The experiences that I've learned from growing up in London, I'd say it's it's uh, it's something. I don't know about other counties in the UK, but I'd say London's a very challenging place, very complex as well. Uh, it's something to be treated delicacy, and yeah. So the challenges, the things that they open, how we are as a person. Um, yeah, I'm very grateful for that because it's better to go through a tough, challenging time, uh, and then come out at the other end of the tunnel, knowing okay, you've gone through a tough time, um, and you able to tackle any challenges that any challenges that I face in the future. Um, because yeah, I know I've tackled a very challenging experience growing up in the city. Um, and yeah, literally, I think that's all I have to say on that question.
So what strengths do you think come specifically from this kind of upbringing or lifestyle, or
Um, yeah, like the upbringing, um, yeah, the lifestyle as well. Uh, the because there's so much people as well. It's just as Tuki mentioned, just knowing who you are. I'd say um, that's the most important thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Toxi, let me round up with you. I just have two questions. So what do you wish people generally understood about London youth that maybe they are misunderstood or something?
think the like I said, I'm so focused on getting the youths to just see the light. Again, I don't mean by or any kind of divine power or whatever it is. It's just knowing right from wrong. I think a lot of the young kids these days get led astray. Um, but I think again, like Patrick said earlier, it's because a system has been built there that wants to take advantage of you. They want you to be labeled as this. and lead you in that way where they just want to lead you to the wrong place. You know, I think most of the things that happen now with our youths, especially when you look at a high percentage of black men killing each other and
Mm.
going to jail or whatever, I think it's massively, massively linked back to like slavery and slave mentality because a lot of people and envy as well between each other, to be honest. Like I had a situation yesterday. I went to Costco to get something. Yeah, that we needed today at church. Yeah. And honestly, I laugh about it because when I got home, I said to like my wife and stuff, and I was like, listen, and she was just laughing. Because she was like, and I was saying to my in-laws as well, and they were like just laughing. Because the fact is, I could have not been at church today because I could have been in jail or something, in a cell. Because
Mm.
it was so, if you've ever been to Costco, see how Costco is busy. It's like a massive market there. It's just busy. It's just so busy. It's indoors, but it's a market. It's so busy. Like you're pushing your trolley around and someone's just dragging their foot, looking at every shelf. But I accidentally bumped my trolley into this lady. And the first thing she did was she looked back. This is the third time now. Blah, blah, blah. And this is grown up people, right? Sorry. She's probably not my age. But tell me she's not in her late 20s, early 30s. I would say that's a lie. And her husband was probably in his late 30s, or a partner. So when you look at him, you think he's older. When you look at me, sometimes people can be deceived to think I'm a very young man and one of these street boys or whatever. Because unfortunately, I have that look and that appearance. Yeah. I was pushing my trolley. When she looked back and said that, at me, I don't like when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't like when people exaggerate. I will put you in your place. So I told her, I'm sorry I hit you with a trolley. However, I didn't hit you 3 times with the trolley. I could have just said sorry and moved on with it, but I like to be someone who points a hand of justice straight the way it should be. There's no need for you to lie. It might have been someone else behind you, but I literally just came behind you and hit you with a trolley because I got slightly carried away by looking at something else. Yeah, as you do. So she was like, oh, shit. And then the man, he had headphones on just like I do now. He took the headphones off, but he heard me apologize to her. But he felt the need to. This is a grown man. Now, I'm a big person. I'm a tall person. I'm 6'3", but he probably was about 6'5". So no problem. And he's got body. Probably, as Americans would say, maybe weighing about 250 pounds. I don't know what that is. I'm just joking. But um, but he was definitely a big guy. I'm 13 stone something. He must have been at least a good side of 17. So for him, you know, he's probably thinking his size can intimidate. And I was leaning on my trolley like this, and he came from the front. He came right next to me, like, say that again, that you only hit her with the trolley once. And I said it. I thought he was going to smack me or beat me up. But unfortunately, he just stood there, just saying the same thing. I was like, bro, I said, your lady is exaggerating. I already said sorry. I hit her with a trolley just once. And I was like, this. The problem is people don't understand. One of my friends was there at the time. Now, I didn't say much at the start, but I don't know if you know Bami as well. One of my sports is actually my own sport really that I do is boxing.
I
I've
know.
done I've done amateur boxing. I've won some fights. I've lost plenty of fights. That was in my under 40 years, and then I started doing unlicensed fighting. So for me, it's like eh, in that kind of situation, just thinking to myself. And one of my friends was there. He happened to be there shopping as well. He had seen me, but when he heard this guy shouting, because this guy was really shouting at the top of his voice. When he heard this guy shouting, he came and he was like, he just looked towards the area. He didn't even know it was me, but he was like, Toxie, your man fuck my lady. Don't touch him. You'll kill this one, because you said, because he just, but the thing is, I wasn't even going to touch this guy. Maybe if he had hit me, I would have reacted different. But the fact that we were shouting like a mad person, but like I said, we can be the downfall of ourselves, black people, and everybody was gathering. All the Igbo people started to gather. Two black men wanting to fight. One guy even came, oh, were you guys fighting? And I just looked at him, oh, no, no. I said, no. He just said, I just smiled it off like it was just nothing. Because this brother was shouting at the top of his voice. Even when his missus came, shouting as well, then he went and came back again and he was using the PUSS word, calling me that. And I was thinking, huh? And people were like, listen. And then there was another Nigerian guy there. When my friend said, I talked to Makmaile, the guy said, He said to him, "Oh, see, boxer, you see me fight. You understand?" He's like, "Boxer, Lily, boy, and I was like, and I said to him, my friend as well, I was like, Timba Falcon, boy, I will definitely not get anything out of it. There's only one way this is going to end. Yeah, I will probably, or two ways. I'll be getting locked up because he's getting knocked out. Or, worst case, I will underestimate him and think that maybe because I'm a boxer. What if he knocks me out and I don't come to church tomorrow? Or I come to church with black eye. And then my pastor will ask me, Kilode, would you know that you had a fight recently? They know I box, but they will say, did you have a fight recently? Mama, I would then be lying in church. Oh, sorry, I started speaking about, I would then be lying in church or speaking something that is not right. But what I'm saying is, going to the essence is like, I think he saw what he did wrong in the end because he was looking at me from a distance, and even some guys as well came and they just looking at me from a distance. He didn't say nothing, and they were just like, "This guy doesn't look well." Because the thing is, I could have hit him. If I hit him and he falls on the ground, what if he dies? Yeah,
That's another
from
scenario.
one crazy moment of like whatever,
Yeah, that's
you
another
know.
scenario.
And because me, I believe that you can shout. Everybody has mouth to shout as long as you don't hit me. Yeah, that's fine. I will defend myself. I might even just restrain you. I won't hit you because I know that if I hit you, something can go wrong. Yeah, so and it's all the end of because in course they will be trying to prove that again, and they like
Mm.
this system because they'll be trying to prove, oh yeah, look at his record. He's where we're gonna find out that I have boxed, I have done this, I can do this. They might even say military guy is a trained killer, is this and
Yeah.
that. All those things. They will try and tarnish your image. But what I'm saying is, people will always say stuff about you. People will always do things. It's the way you react that really differentiates. My wife was so happy when I came back and told her, oh, I was just looking at him. She said, eh? Because it's just what it is. And I understood there and then that, oh, he has to back his wife, his lady up, but he didn't have to back her up that way. He could have been a bit more subtle because I wasn't shouting at him, but he chose to shout. But in the long run, it's all those little things. Just knowing that with ourselves, we've got to actually respect ourselves first. And all our troubles, like I said, slave mentality, we need to put that to one side and not trying to prove the alpha male. If you have something now, if we're from the same area, the same dude, Patrick, and you wear a nice gold chain, as you know, the next person, if I'm one of your boys, I'm thinking, how did you get that? You tell me how you got it, and then I want to go get mine because your dad might be a nice rich person and he bought you that. But I'm thinking, oh, my dad might not be able to afford that, so I have to go and do this. I have to go and rob some, sell some drugs, do things I shouldn't do because I want to look fly. And all these clothes in the end, they're not even worth the money that they sell them for
Mm.
because you know it's people who have died in them, people who have died for them, and
Mm.
people will continue to die and sweat for them. So all
Mm.
these little things, it's just being able to differentiate in your head what is right from wrong. And there's always that conscience that tells you when you're doing right and when you're doing wrong. It's just for you to listen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Toxie. Patrick, I'll give you the final word. Do you have anything you want to say before we end the
Uh,
program?
for the or it's just in general.
Yeah, anything else in general, yeah. Word of
Um.
advice, anything.
Okay. Word of advice is always be a good person. I'd say be a good person is very important. Or try to be a good person. If you're in a religion, um, stay true to it as well because that also
Mm.
guides you. And yeah, people with who are very strong in faith tend to develop well as a good character. And the last one, I know I've gone on a bit of a tangent here, but yeah, it's literally try and make an impact in this world because yeah, God put us in this world to make an impact. Don't be restrained. Yeah. Well, advice.
Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of the discussion. Um, I really want to appreciate you guys for coming. I know it's not easy. It's not always easy to share or come to share experiences like maybe that you might not feel comfortable sharing. But I want to actually, thank you guys for coming, uh, for honoring the invitation actually, and for coming. I really appreciate that. Just to recap and to close, the experiences we shared today, reminded us that the difficulties we faced didn't break us. They shaped us. They gave us perspective, grit, and the ability to adapt wherever we go next. And basically, so if you're listening to this and you're still in the middle of that journey, just know this, that your environment doesn't define your limit, it builds your tools, and your story actually matters. I like to start something that I actually thought of, the message. I titled it the message. So just to correlate the Bible passage with whatever we discussed today. And the message for today is Isaiah 43, verse 2. See, when you pass through waters, I will be with you. When you walk through fire, you will not be turned. You will not be burned. Sorry. I know. So that reflects surviving difficult environment. We've gone through the fire. We've walked through that fire. We're not burned. We came out perfectly. We are hard pressed on every side, but God, God Himself was with us. And I want to thank you guys, from the bottom of my heart for coming. For the listeners, I want to actually thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. If this resonated with you, you can share it, share your story, comment on the podcast. We always If you want to share your story, you want to come on the podcast, you can actually comment. I'll actually read the comments. Thank you so much. To follow us on social media, we are at Live Talk Public Bami. You can catch us every 2 weeks on Mondays for new episodes that drops. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Toxie. I really appreciate you guys coming. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Bami. Thank you, Tuxie.
Bye
Thank you.
Bye.
bye. Bye.